The Breakfast Club was written, directed, and produced by John Hughes. The movie stars Emilio Estevez as Andrew Clark, the athlete, Anthony Michael Hall as Brian Johnson, the brain, Judd Nelson as John Bender, the criminal, Molly Ringwald as Claire Standish, the princess, and Ali Sheedy as Allison Reynolds, the basket case. These 5 actors would later become known as the Brat Pack. The premise of this movie is that 5 students had broken some rules and received a full day of Saturday detention to be overseen by their vice principal, Richard Vernon, played by Paul Gleason. In the opening moments of the film, we see Bender and Vernon really don't like nor respect each other, with an opening salvo of words resulting in Bender receiving 8 more days of detention.
You're not fooling anybody, Bender. The next screw that falls out is going to be you. What was that?
Eat my shorts.
You just bought yourself another Saturday.
As the day plays out, we see Bender antagonizing the other students, eventually reaching a boiling point between him and Clark, with Bender revealing the abuse that he suffers at home from his father.
It's all part of your image. I don't believe a word of it.
You don't believe me?
No.
No?
Did I stutter?
You believe this? Huh? It's about the size of a cigar. Do I stutter?
With this revelation, the other 4 students start changing the way they look at Bender and their own struggles they face at home. With this new outlook, the Breakfast Club unite and decide to visit Bender's locker to retrieve his stash, which ends up with the students trying to avoid Vernon, who is also roaming the halls. Eventually, they make it back to the library after Bender sacrifices himself to Vernon, just in time for Vernon to bring in Bender to gather his stuff as he's locked away in a closet for the rest of the day. Bender eventually escapes the closet and makes his way back into the library, where the group ends up having a little smoke session where more of the emotional walls are torn down and deeper relationships are formed. One of the most poignant and heaviest scenes throughout the entire film, for me anyway, was when they're all sitting around in a circle and they're letting down their final walls. Andrew, Brian, and Allison start to share what they had done to get into lunch or into detention that day. Andrew, being so influenced by the jock culture and intimidated by his father to succeed, was given detention because he taped another student's buttocks together in an attempt to both win his teammates and his father's approval. Brian, who was under so much academic pressure from his parents to get good grades that he contemplated self-harming after getting an F in shop class, he was sent to detention for bringing a flare gun to school. And then Allison is so compulsively dishonest with neglectful parents, consistently steals things that she could use to run away if ever she felt led to, admits that she showed up to detention that day because she had nothing else better to do. There was one more scene where Andrew Clark, the athlete, asked this question.
My God, are we gonna be like our parents?
Not me. Ever. It's unavoidable. It just happens.
What happens?
When you grow up, your heart dies.
Who cares?
I care.
Now my question is it unavoidable does our hearts die as we get older? And I think that's only something that you, the viewer, can ask about yourself. In October of 1986, my class, like all the other classes in my school district, was participating in a thing they called the Halloween Carnival. Nowadays, they call them the Fall Festival. But each class would nominate a boy and a girl to be the class king and queen. And they would then in turn compete against the other grades to become the king and queen of the school district. My class, one of the things that they did to raise money was have a movie night. So with my borrowed 1979 Ford LTD two-tone green and white four-door that I borrowed from my mom, I drove over to one of my classmates' homes and paid the money to get in. I don't, $2 or whatever it was to get in. And I found a corner to sit in to watch the movies. And they had a couple of different movies to choose from. And they debated over which one, and they finally settled upon The Breakfast Club. This was the first time I'd ever saw the movie and didn't know anything about it. But when the students started to arrive at Shermer High School on that fateful day, I was intrigued. When the final scene of the movie played across, and John Bender is walking across that football field with the bleachers behind him, and the song "Don't You Forget About Me" slowly increasing in volume behind him, there was two things that I was certain of. That one, I so wanted to be John Bender. And two, I knew that I was really Brian Johnson. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of the video. And I'm sorry for the delay. Like, I've edited and re-edited and cut and blew up the script so many times because, in honesty, I don't think I could ever do this movie justice. It's just that great of a movie. And if you haven't seen it, please make it a priority to watch it as soon as possible. HBO Max has it right now. You can go watch it if you're subscribed to that streaming service. If not, you can rent it on any of the like Amazon Prime, things like that. Just make it a priority to go watch this movie. You'll be glad you did.